kancane kancane sizophumelela amabakho ngwanaka
Esimnyama ngekani sakebhula umhlaba zawubukisa phansi naphezulu iyo Jose siyabulela Esimnyama ngekani sakebhula umhlaba zawubukisa phansi naphezulu iyo Jose siyabulela wafika eMzantsi Afrika.
Good day, family. Those that have not subscribed on the YouTube channel, The Big Daddy Football Corner, please subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Big Daddy Football Corner. And you know, guys, the videos are flying, guys. The videos are flying. You can see that the season have started already. Guys, Orlando Pirates is through to the 4th consecutive MTN Cup final. This thing must be changed now and be made an Orlando Pirates Cup instead of an MTN, or be called an MTN Orlando Pirates Cup. You know, because damn, this thing is happening. Guys, let us get into the tactical analysis for this game, highlighted observations that I made, you know, on this particular game. Obviously, Orlando Pirates won through penalties, you know, in this particular game. You know, it was 1-1 in 90 minutes. Let's dissect the game and look at it, you know, in terms of what happened. Obviously, Rayners scored on the other side, and Sebelebele scored, you know, on the other Orlando Pirates side. Now, when you look at the lineup, that didn't change much. Tito was back, Kwaiba was on the bench, and the difference that you have when you have a player of Kwaiba's caliber is that he offers you the option to play 2 strikers, because for me he's more of a number 10, but that plays closer to the striker as a second striker, you know. And it was just an observation that I made. That let's look at the first half. Obviously, when we watched the first half again, Uhoto was playing out high up the field, but Orlando Pirates was using his engine, his speed, his stamina, you know, and the fact is work rate that he works 90 minutes going up and down that line. They wanted to use his speed more and to provide width on the side, you know. And obviously Rele was tucking inside when he was offering that width. Also, I think they also wanted to pin Umdunyelwa, you know, not to be able to be then decide whether he's going with Uhoto or he comes inside and gives cover, you know, when Urele comes inside, right? And I think the very first 5 minutes of the match, you know, I was concerned about Matthews and Salas. Again, it is happening in the second leg, you know, that they were given space more in between the lines to, you know, and especially in the inside channels, to be able to receive their 10 and then attack the space. I felt that Orlando Pirates gave them so much space into that area, and especially Salas, because it's very difficult when he's to receive that area 10 and then spread those passes, take shots, or attack, you know, at the final third. Rayners again was also looking to make runs at the shoulders of the 2 young center backs. You know, also Orlando Pirates increased the space between the goalkeeper and the defender, which we always call the corridor of uncertainty. And that space become large. It meant Rayners was always going to attack that space, you know, and make runs into the shoulders and make sure that the space is attacked, you know, because I think Orlando Pirates pushed the line a little bit higher than what they did in the first leg, which was a little bit risky. But in football, you know, the less you take the risk, the less you have chances of winning the match. The other thing as well, I think Orlando Pirates misses Udlamini, especially with Emma free kicks, because I watched the past 3-4 games of Orlando Pirates, especially when Dlamini is not in the field, that when the lateral free kick is closer to the 18 area, you need a Dlamini, because he's able to bend the ball quickly and get into, and then it gets into the net. And Uhoto needs, he's always lethal when there is space, because he's not necessarily, it bends over a long distance and he's got a powerful shot. But on a shorter distance, that doesn't work. It's just an element that I feel Orlando Pirates lack. And I think one of the players that are currently in the first level needs to raise their hands up in terms of closing the gap of free kicks, because free kicks last season it was a half chance for Orlando Pirates, right? I also was surprised, not really surprised, but I felt that Sundowns were using a lot of offside traps, in this particular match, trying to ensure that they, they catch Orlando Pirates into that. But when I went and I listened at the coach, Mikel Cardoso, at the end of the match, he talked about how they were using the offside trap to limit the threat, of the long balls and the diagonal balls that Orlando Pirates keep on wanting to play, to get Uhoto. But I think also he's a very brave coach and a brave team to play, Emma offside trap, especially in the league as South Africa, where you don't have, EVAR, and the chances of the linesmen getting those calls correctly. I think that was that was very brave of Sundowns. A goal again from Sundowns, scored by Rayners. I just felt that, we were caught out by surprise, in that particular goal, because Orlando Pirates was attacking, looking like they are the ones that are giving the threat. But then Sundowns just going on into the other side. First chance, they get into it. I think it was an unfortunate goal. And I don't think it's a goal that Orlando Pirates should have conceded. What irritated me the most about that goal is that, it was an unfortunate situation. Also, it's a goal that I felt Sundowns did not work for, right? The other thing that I noticed was in some moments of the game, there is what we call a ball-sided overload, where the team, Orlando Pirates, or they position their players much closer to where the ball is played, right? Yes, I know it compresses the space, it limits passing options because you are trapping them into the certain area. It also trap the ball carrier in tight spaces. But I just felt that Sundowns is quality, technical, good players that can switch the ball quickly into the unmarked player, and there will be trouble in paradise, right? Also, I noticed that Sundowns were utilizing the same defensive plan that Stellenbosch were using, where they were using a flat 4 a defensive shape, where Umdunyela and Olunga did not search forward much to provide depth and provide width. But what I also noticed, if one of them, tries to jump, into the attacking third, and then Mkhwena is then Utebakhamkwena drops, it become a third center back, right? Just when I was typing, that I felt, because it was closer to, the end of the first half, and I was typing and I was saying, Sebelebele, I need Sebelebele to push up. I don't want him as a right back, and I also want Orlando Pirates to bring in Umbule, take out Apolis, in my own view, as well as take out Tito. And then the coach, brave guys, brave from Coach Abdesalam Wadu, that when things are not working, and then what he did is he pulled out Tito, in the 39th minute, and I was like, what is going on? Especially because, when you have a great player and a good player, which in every stadium, his name is shouted, and you take him out. That's being brave, right? The reason why I don't want Sebelebele as the right back, it's because I feel like a lot of Pirates issues in this team, they are not much in the defensive side of things. I think our issues in the final third, where we are not penetrating the final third aggressively enough. We are not creating, chances, especially in this particular game, and I felt that we just needed more numbers in the attacking third and more players that can eliminate, and we need more efficiency. That's why I was happy when Sebelebele was moved from the right back, into the right wing. I also felt that in the first half, Orlando Pirates were putting a lot of crosses. But every single cross that Orlando Pirates was crossing, it was timid, it was lacking precision, it was lacking power, it was lacking direction, it was delivered, with no target area in mind. It was flat, with no bend, with no shape. And then it got me thinking to say, if you're going to play that type of football or play more cross inside the box, don't you need your left back and your right back to be quality crossers? Don't you need a number 9 that is more good in aerial threat and getting to those balls? Because for me, Umakhopa could not get into those balls. As much as he has the physical profile, but he hardly won headers in the final third, right? Then in the second half, I just felt that Orlando Pirates were a little bit flat. Their bodies seem heavy. heavy, even psychologically, it looked heavy. You know, they appeared to be fatigued a little bit, you know, physically, you know, and psychologically. And the entire decision making of the entire squad across, I think it was off. It was one game that I felt like if Orlando Pirates win, you know, I will be very surprised, because I honestly don't think Orlando Pirates played well, especially, you know, in the first half. The other thing that irritated me the most in this particular game was that clearly Sundowns were playing an offside trap, you know, and they nailed it, you know, in the entire game. But why are the Orlando Pirates attackers not checking their runs? Time and again, they were always ahead of the line. And I ask myself, why? Because you are seeing these guys are playing offside. Time your runs correctly, or make deep runs when the ball somebody is carrying the ball. The players that are in the front, they drop. Then you've got a player that will move from an onside area and attack that space. And I felt that Sundowns came with that play, and we were not answering into those questions. When Mariko came in for Mbule, you know, I felt that I felt probably Mbule was the correct, you know, sub that we need to bring into that game, because that game was too critical for us to experiment with Mariko. I saw a tweet, somebody replying to me, I can't remember who it was, but he was saying that the right player came in, you know, meaning it was the right profile to get in. For me, that was interesting, right? And a goal from Sebelebele, guys, out of nowhere, out of nothing. You know, that boy, there's nothing wrong, you know, that he can do at the moment. I mean, Sundowns attempted the offside trap, and I think that goal, to a certain extent, they tried that offside trap. But for me, in that one, they were not in sync, the entire team, to do that offside trap. Because there was one corner kick that I saw where we played a short corner kick, and all the players ran out of that particular area. And by the time Orlando Pirates crossed the board, and you know, were in an offside, the entire team was in sync. But in that goal, I felt that the entire team of Sundowns were not in sync. The other observation was a little bit of times I felt Orlando Pirates was struggling to defend the far post. There was always a time where on the far post there was always a free player, and a quick switch into that area, we could have been in trouble. Also, I felt Orlando Pirates at times on corner kicks, you know, you look nervous as usual. That is nothing new. That's been Orlando Pirates' problem. But I felt that, you know, Orlando Pirates really tried, especially the centre back. Then the game went to penalties, right? For me, when it gets to penalties, guys, this is one moment where I think tactical analysis comes into play. Penalty analysis, it comes to play. Because I think in this game, the Orlando Pirates technical team I think they were superior. The reason why I'm saying so is because if you watch Bafana when they play Nigeria, and how Nigeria scored their penalties right in the middle, because you know Rowan Williams will always dive to one side. And all you need to do, you place the ball in the middle. If I'm not mistaken, you know, I think there was 2 Orlando Pirates, penalties that came in the middle, because that is where that is how Nigeria scored, and that's how Nigeria won their AFCON match against Bafana. And then the other observation was Shayine delaying Tebogo's penalty. He almost got a yellow card, you know, for delaying. I don't know why, what is for the delay. I'll be interested in one interview for somebody to interview Shayine. What was the delay? Was he waiting for instructions from the bench in terms of where Tebogo is likely to take and that one, or he was working on Tebogo's mind and confidence? Because that delay, I think to a certain extent, it played psychologically into how Tebogo, took his penalty. The other thing is, if you look at all the penalties, Shayine dive on the exact side that the penalty were taken on. Again, to me, it says the technical team really did their work in terms of getting to know where the penalties are likely to be. But if there's anything that I've missed, I don't want to make this video so long. There's so many things that I want to talk about, but I want to keep it at 12 minutes to 15 minutes. Thank you to like, share, and comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you,